The Sims 3 was released in 2009, and the graphics can look a little bit dated. Although I think the scenery in The Sims 3 is the most beautiful out of all the games, the Sims themselves can use a little updating. Today I'm sharing with you my favorite custom content and default replacements to improve the look of your Sims and your environment in The Sims 3. So let's get started. Here we are in the game, and this is of course Don Lothario in my Sims 3 Pleasant View. And this is how he looks with absolutely no custom content whatsoever. This is EA skin, eyes, hair, everything. The Sims 3 Sims, in my opinion, tend to look a bit plasticky, and we're going to try to remedy that with some of my favorite defaults. So here is Don Lothario in Create a Sim. I want to show you the Sims both in the world and Create a Sim so you can see the difference, because a lot of times they look different in Create a Sim, usually better in Create a Sim than they do when you're actually playing the game. I also want to make sure that I'm showing a variety of different skin tones. So here is Dirk Dreamer, who has a darker skin tone. This is what he looks like in the game with no custom content. And here is how he looks in Create a Sim. And to make sure we also have a very light skin tone represented, I'll be using John Burb here. So here's how he looks in the game, and here is how he looks in Create a Sim. Before we go any further, I want to recommend a mod that I use and that will be very helpful for you whenever you're creating your Sims or giving them makeovers, and this is the Zoom In Create a Sim camera. I will link this down below, as well as all of the custom content that I talk about today. This Zoom In camera allows you to zoom all the way in on your Sims whenever you are working on them in Create a Sim. Comes in very handy, especially if you really want to get in there and get the little details. Now that you have a good idea of how the Sims look without any custom content, let's start with skin tones. I'm going to show you my favorites as well as recommend some others that you might want to check out. My favorite default replacement skin for The Sims 3 is called Sugar Pill Skin, and this is by Burnt Waffles. Here's a better close-up of how the skin looks, and I'm going to show it to you on The Sims that I showed you a moment ago. It has very nice nose and mouth details that I really like. You can download this here, and what you want to do is get the default. The second link, new download Sugar Pill Skin default. If you don't want this as default and you just want to add this to your game, you can download the non-default. But if you want to replace the skins already in your game, get the default version. If this is not really your style, but you are in the market for a default replacement skin, I would recommend checking out all of the other skins on Burnt Waffle's site. So you could click over here under skins, and you may have to scroll a bit through the Sims 4 skins until you get to the Sims 3. So the first one I see here is Blueberry Bride. This one is also really good. I have used this one previously. I'm partial to Sugar Pill, but this one is very nice as well. Here are some close-up pictures of this one. It also adds a really nice nose and mouth. It's actually really similar to Sugar Pill. Here is Freckled Berry, and it just goes on and on. Cloud Parade, defaulted, so you can just scroll through the skin tag, and here's Sugar Pill again, and see if you like any of these. This is my favorite creator for both skin and eyes in The Sims 3. If you like a more realistic skin, then I would highly recommend Primer by Cura Soberina, and I don't know if I'm saying that right, I'm so sorry. But anyway, this is a very realistic skin that's quite popular. A lot of people really like this skin. Here are some nicer pictures so you can see like the texture that you get on the male bodies, female bodies, and all the different skin tones for elders. Like, there is some really good detail here. Here are toddlers. You can see the texture on their little knees and feet. Primer HD skin for all ages. You can download that here, and I'll link that below. Here we are in the game, and I have installed the Sugar Pill skin, and this is what Don Lothario looks like with his new skin. I will put a little picture on the screen of what he looked like before with just the default replacement skin. This is a big improvement in my opinion, especially the nose and mouth. Here is Dina Caliente with the new skin in Create a Sim, looking a little bit less orangey and plasticky. Here is Dirk Dreamer in Create a Sim with the new Sugar Pill skin on. And you can see the difference in around his face, nose, and mouth. And finally, here is John Burb, so you can see how it looks on a very light skin tone. He even has like some eye bags under his eyes now. a better looking nose shape, and more texture on the lips. Like I said, I love this skin because it's still Maxis Match, but it just improves the overall shape of the face, texture of the face, and just makes the Sims look better. I was going to go and show you what the Sims look like in the world, and I realized that the skins are not showing up on them. So if you have this problem, if you put default replacements in your game, sometimes you have to take the Sims into Create a Sim to get them to show up. If that doesn't work, then you probably need to delete your cache files. This could be the case for eyes, skin, hair, anything that you default replace. If it doesn't show up in the game, go into your Documents, Electronic Arts, Sims 3 folder, and delete anything that has cache in the name. CAS part cache, compositor cache, script cache, compositor cache, social cache. You can delete all of these. You have to close the game first. Once you close the game, delete all of these. And then once you reopen the game, everything should actually show up on your Sims. I deleted all of the caches, and my skin is still not showing up in live mode. So what I'm gonna do is take one of my Sims into Create a Sim using Master Controller, and I'm just gonna change something, like give him a pair of socks or something. You just change something very basic. Like I'll just change his sock color, and that fixed it. So now the default replacement skin is actually showing up in live mode. I don't know why you have to do that sometimes, but if you're having issues, delete your caches and take your Sim into Create a Sim, and that should make it show up. So now here's what Dawn looks like out in the world. It's a little bit more harsh than it is in Create a Sim, but it's still a big improvement. So now let's move on to eye replacements. Once again, just like I mentioned in my Sims 2 version of this video, if you replace nothing else in your game, consider replacing the eyes. It can make such a huge difference to how your Sims look. In my opinion, the eyes in The Sims 3 are a little oversaturated, a little cartoony, and I like mine just to look a little bit more realistic while still being Maxis Match. I was so happy when I found out that Burnt Waffles converted one of my favorite sets of eyes from The Sims 2 to The Sims 3. These are Brunos behind these eyes, made compatible with The Sims 3. They look really lovely in the game, and they're still Maxis Match. So you can download the default version here, or you can download non-default contact version if you prefer that. I use the defaults because I just like to replace everything that's already there. Now, once again, if these eyes are not your thing, but you do want some defaults, click over here on Burnt Waffles Tumblr under eyes. There's a Sims 4 eyes here, so make sure you scroll down past those and look for Sims 3. If you're not sure which ones they are, just make sure you look at the tags and make sure it says Sims 3. So here are Spotlight eyes. These are contacts. So you want to look and make sure, depending on what you're looking for, if you're looking for defaults. These Morgana eyes, for example, there is a default version of these. Starlight eyes, Sims 2 to Sims 3. Resist This Eyes, Sims 2 to Sims 3. Burnt Waffles did a lot of Sims 2 to Sims 3 conversions, so if you have a favorite set of eyes from The Sims 2, you may be able to find them converted for The Sims 3. And here are some more defaults, and you can just look through these and see which ones you like. There are so many to choose from. There's even a realistic eyes set, if you like more realistic looking Sims in The Sims 3. Now I'm back in Create a Sim with Don Lothario and his updated eyes. So here is what he looked like before. I will put up on the screen. And here is what he looks like with the Bruno's eyes and the sugar pill skin. So here's a look at Don's eyes out in gameplay mode and live mode. Even though I feel like they look better in Create a Sim, it's still a huge improvement out in the world as well. So let's take a look at some of the other Sims with different eye colors. You can tell a huge difference in the way Dark Dreamer's eyes look. Before, they were very saturated. The dark blue was just too bright in my opinion, but now it looks much better, much more natural. And I feel like these eyes look really good with this sugar pill skin as well. And here are those baby blues out in the real world, and also a look at the darker skin tone on the sugar pill skin out in gameplay mode. And finally, we have John Burb here with brown eyes. I love the way these eyes actually have like flecks of different color in them. There's kind of like a darker brown on the outer ring, a lighter brown on the inside. I will show you some different colors here. We'll just practice on John and I won't save. But you can use all the presets. Here's purple, yellow, green, blue. You can use all of these presets here, and you can even go in and change color using these presets. And you can see each one looks very different, very good. I feel like the darker colors of this eye actually look better than the lighter. And of course, you could always use the color wheel, change them to whatever color you like. No matter what default replacement eyes you use, it's going to be an improvement over the original base game eyes. And here's John out in live mode with the new skin and eyes. Now I want to talk to you about a little something called a Create a Sim Overhaul. These are mods that replace the clothing and strip away the specular that make the Sims look like they're all wearing vinyl. I know you know what I'm talking about, that plasticky, shiny look that the clothes have in The Sims 3. Well, this very talented and kind individual here has created replacements for just about all of the clothing in the game that gets rid of that shine and that vinyl, and you don't have to go in and try to do it yourself with mods. You could just throw these in and it fixes it. They have even made overhauls for the store worlds, the store sets, pretty much everything that is Maxis. So I'm gonna scroll down, like right here is late night. So if you have the late night expansion, you can download this here and it will replace all of the late night clothing, getting rid of that shine and making it look more like normal clothing. This is a store set, so just make sure you check and see what you have. These are all store sets. This is expansion pack 2 Ambitions, so this will replace all of the Ambitions clothing. Another store set, another store set, another store set. Not only does this reduce the shine, as you can see here, it also recategorizes some of the clothing and puts it in more appropriate categories. Now for the store sets, or for any of the sets here, you must have the actual original version or this is not going to work because these are replacements. So before you download anything, make sure you actually have that set or that expansion or that stuff pack or whatever. The base game is on page 6. So if you are looking for that, the Create a Sim Overhaul for base game is on page 6. The base game overhaul has all clothing unlocked, stencils removed, painted accessories edited out, duplicate meshes hidden, more outerwear, sandals available in swimwear, child and toddler clothing made unisex mostly, maternity enabled, and bonus, burnt face and scalp makeup default is included with this. I'm going to download that now so we can look at how it looks in the game. But first, we're going to need something to compare it to. So I'm trying to find some particularly shiny base game clothes. Like this, for example, this smoking jacket. See how it has like this plasticky sheen to it? And here is that same jacket with the mod installed. So it has removed all of that shine and made it look actually like a normal piece of clothing, like fabric. Your Sims will no longer look like they all have a vinyl fetish. Now they'll look like they're wearing actual clothes. Go out there and download the overhaul for every one of the expansions and stuff packs that you have. This is really the easiest way to take care of this problem in your game. There is a mod out there that will allow you to go in and do this manually on each and every individual item, but I don't know why you do that when you can just download the mod where somebody else has already done it for you. I don't do any other clothing default replacements for The Sims 3 except for these overhauls. It really makes a huge difference in how the clothing looks in the game, and a lot of it isn't half bad. Now let's talk about makeup default replacements. I also use the defaults from Carver Sims, the same place where I get the clothing defaults. There's defaults here for both the lips, part 1 and part 2, and the blush. For eyeshadow, I use the EA Eyeshadow Texture Fix default replacements on Mod The Sims. So this fixes the eyeshadow. If you can see in this picture before, it kind of bleeds over onto the actual eye. So this fixes it so that the eyeshadow stays on the lid. Here are some more examples. You can see how the eyeshadow is on the eye right here, but fixed, it's actually just stays on the lid. I'll use Dina Caliente as an example to show you how the makeup looks before we install the replacements. Here is the eyeshadow, which it's kind of hard to tell, but it is over the top of her eye. I don't use any replacements for the eyeliner. I just use the in-game liner and mess around with the colors and opacity. For the blush, this is how the blush looks now. And there's nothing wrong with the makeup that's in the game now. Like, I don't find the Sims 3 makeup to be that bad, especially because you have the opacity slider. But I just kind of like, especially the lipstick, I like the replacements better. So here are the lipsticks, just to give you an idea. So there are 3 different lipsticks. Here's the first one, second, and third. So now let's look at how the makeup looks after it's been replaced. Here are the fixed alpha EA eyeshadows, so they no longer bleed through onto the actual eye, which it's hard to see in here, but you saw it in the pictures. For the blush, the pictures will be replaced with these. So here are how some of the swatches look on Dina here. This one in particular kind of adds more like contour and highlight instead of just a splash of blush. I don't know. I don't know makeup terms. I'm sorry. You can see for yourself how different it looks, and you can mess around with the opacity as well. And then this one is just the solid color. And finally, for the lips, we have all of these replaced. I love this one in particular. I use this one a lot on my Sims, especially with the opacity about halfway in between, and then you can choose a nice color. I really like how this one looks. For the other ones, they also look pretty good. Definitely an improvement over the EA makeup. Now let's talk about hair retextures. Personally, I think I'm one of the few people left who doesn't mind the hair texture in The Sims 3 in just the normal game. But if you're looking for something different, I can recommend these default hair replacements by €1 Mutt. They use these shock and shame textures, which in my opinion are the best textures out there for The Sims 3. And every one of the expansion packs has been retextured, so you can have all of your hairs matching, and you can download these based on whichever expansions you have. And then if you download these and you like them and you want some additional custom hairs, you can head over to the Shock and Shame Tumblr and get some very, very well done custom hairs. So these are actually in different colors here, and you can just scroll through and see how lovely these are. Now, I have personally not used these hairs before, but I've had my eye on them for a long time, and I have seen them in other people's games, and they're lovely. And now that I'm scrolling through, I'm like, man, I want every one of these hairs. I'm gonna have to go on a download spree. Look how lovely that is. That hair would be perfect for Lilith Pleasant. You also have another option, and that is to hide the base game hairs. Once again, just like I showed you in The Sims 2, in The Sims 3, if you just want to hide all of these hairs, you don't want to worry about retextures, you just want them out of your game so you can only use custom stuff, you can go here to Mod The Sims and get these no more base game hairs. And then over on Simborg's Tumblr, there are hiders for many of the other hairs. For example, here is Into the Future, which will hide clothes, hair, accessories, makeup, tattoos, whatever. When you download this, you'll be able to choose, like if you just want to hide the hair, but you want to keep the clothes or whatever, you can pick and choose. So it's not like one file that hides everything. You can choose what you want to hide. And you can scroll through, here's movie stuff, Island Paradise, various expansion packs. And so you can just scroll through and get all the hiders you want if you don't want to default. Then head over to Shock and Shame and get all these beautiful hairs for your Sims. And just for your convenience, I'm going to go ahead and put some of these into my game and show you what they look like. Back in Create a Sim, we can see the hair retextures. I downloaded the retextures from OEM, and here is what Dawn's hair looks like now. It actually looks quite a bit nicer. I do kind of like these. I've been resisting defaulting my hair in The Sims 3, but this looks pretty good. So here are a few more styles that have been retextured. It's very subtle, I think. I don't think it's too crazy. And then let's just change the hair color so you can get, I think you can see the retexture a lot better when the hair is lighter. So I'm gonna give Dawn blonde hair here so you can kind of get a better idea of what the retextures look like. I want to show you this custom hair that I downloaded. I downloaded one for males and one for females so we could look at it in the game. Oh, that's so cute. And now it matches. Now these custom hairs match the retextured base game hairs. So here are some more colors. I'll just go through the colors so you can kind of see. It was very subtle and I was like, are these even retextured? But they definitely are. And you can especially see it whenever you look at the custom hair. I love that hair. I'm keeping that hair in my game. So here's Dina Caliente with her hair retextured, and I'll look at a few of the female hairs so you can kind of get an idea of how those look. They definitely look nicer. And if I click on one that hasn't been retextured, because I didn't get all the expansion packs, I just got the base game and late night. So let's click on one that hasn't been retextured. So there's the old Maxis texture, and here's the new retexture. This hasn't been retextured, so it's just basically all one color there, and then this one has been retextured, so it adds more highlights. It definitely looks better. But most of all, what's most important to me is if I was going to retexture hair is that I could find custom hairs to also match the retextures. That's what's so great about this set, because then you can get these custom shock and shame hairs, which are so beautiful. And here's the example one that I downloaded. I really like this one. I liked this one better in black hair. But yeah, it's super cute. Wow, Dina's looking good with black hair. Here it is in brown, red, dark blonde, gray. That's what I recommend for hairs if you want to change up your Sims 3 hairs. And of course, if you change up your hairs, or even if you don't change up your hairs, you probably want to replace the eyebrows and facial hair. Even if you just use the Max's hairs, like I have been doing in my Sims 3 game, I still have replacements for the brows and beards. My favorite default replacement eyebrows and beards are here on Simple Life, and you can see the difference here. You can see the change. These are all of the brows. It even changes them for children. And then right underneath that, we have the default beards for the base game facial hair. These look much more natural, no matter if you have a Maxis Match game or a more realistic game. These fit with either one, and they just look so much better. Let me show you what I'm talking about. In Create a Sim, Dawn here now has the default replacement facial hair, and I really like it because it looks like you can see all of the individual hairs on the beard instead of before. I'll put the before picture right here. It just looks like a bunch of like black dots or paint or something. I really, really like these replacements. Let's look at some more of the facial hair. So here is some stubble. Here's some stubble with a little mustache. Here's another example. This big full beard now actually looks like hair instead of just some kind of like bloated mass on the bottom of your Sim's face. I don't know. It looks better. And you can also see Dawn's eyebrows here. Let's give him back his original facial hair. I like these better because you can see the individual hairs once again, and I just think they look more natural. Here are some more of the eyebrows. There's a unibrow for you. So you're probably familiar with the Sims 3 burrito babies. This is what they look like. This is a little boy. A little girl will be wrapped in pink. I like to have my babies look a little bit more realistic in The Sims 3, and there are a couple mods I use for that. This is a very old post from a blog spot called The Sims Field of WM. On this post, there is a default replacement for a baby skin, and this is the one I use in my game. So here's a better picture. This is what the babies look like before, and this is what they look like with this skin. They look super cute in the game. If you watched any of my videos, you've seen them. So that's the first thing I recommend you get is the baby skin. And if you don't want your babies to be burritos anymore, if you want them to have cute little legs instead, you can get these sleeper footies for your baby Sims here on Quizzical Gen. So here's an example of how they look with their little footsies. There's a pink for girls and a blue for boys. And finally, I like to have hair on my babies. So also on Quizzical Gen, I have these little wispy hairs. This is how they look in your game. It's really cute. Just throw all these in your downloads folder and then your babies will come out much cuter. Now, when you use these defaults for the babies, the clothing and the hair, you may actually have to go into Create a Sim and put it on them. Sometimes they'll be born still just like burrito babies. I honestly don't know why sometimes they'll have the clothes on and sometimes they won't. I guess it's just like picking a random outfit for them. But if they're bored and they're still burritos, just take them into Create a Sim with Master Controller, put the hair on them, and put the outfit on them. The skin will automatically go onto all the babies. And last but certainly not least, let's talk about lighting and environment. A lighting mod in The Sims 3 can make such a big difference, especially with those harsh shadows on your Sims' faces. I currently use Blue Skies and Sunshine by Burnt Waffles. Again, Burnt Waffles is an excellent resource for all things Sims 3, but most especially eyes, skins, and lighting. So here are some pictures of how it looks. A sunrise, sunset, cloudy sunrise, cloudy sunset, clear sunlight. You want to go with download the Blue Skies and Sunshine default lighting mod 1.5. So this first list of downloads is what you want to go with. And you can just choose, really any of these are going to be fine, but you can choose the water that you want. I personally use the St. Clair's water, and there's really no other reason for that than I just like the name of it, so I put it in my game and it looked great. So it doesn't really matter, just choose the one that you like best. Now you might not want to put Moonlight Falls water in Sunset Valley or something like that, so maybe choose one that's a little more generic for that, like St. Clair. And finally, in addition to the lighting mod, I also use a mod called Enchanted Environment. This replaces the sun halo, the moon halo, the clouds, rainbow, stars, snow, frozen pond texture, and snowy footprints. So here are some pictures to show you what I mean. It makes the world look so much more realistic, so beautiful. I would highly recommend this. So this is before, this is what it looks like EA Sky, and this is what it looks like with the mod. So you can see a huge difference. And here is before the EA Sky, stars, and moon, and here's what it looks like with the mod. Once again, here is the snow before, snow after. And one of my favorite things are the snow footprints. And like, this picture doesn't do it justice. It looks so good in the game. But this is before, this is what the footprints look like. And here's what they look like with the mod in the game. It's just beautiful. It changes your whole environment, and it can be used with the lighting mod of your choice. And you can also pick and choose if you don't want all of this. Say you just want the snow or you just want the sun or something. You can download separated packages and just pick and choose what you want. Here's how the lighting looks in Pleasant View. This is just a clear, normal day with no custom content. Now here we are back in the game with my lighting mod and the Enchanted Environment, and it is a cloudy, dreary, downcast day right now. It's darker because it's only 8 a.m. and there's clouds in the sky. So I would recommend trying out these mods in your game and seeing if you like them. If you don't, you can always take them out, but it really does add to the environment a lot. I hope this has been a good starting point to show you how you can start updating your Sims 3 Sims, making them look nicer, and improving your environment. Leave a comment down below and let me know what are your favorite default replacements or your favorite mods that help you improve the way The Sims 3 looks. I would love to hear from you. My name is Cindy, and I will see you with a new video very soon. Thank you so much for watching.